Good morning. It's August 31st, the last day of the month, a Monday. And today there's a shocking revelation. A majority of states have chosen to ignore the CDC's latest guidelines for handling the COVID pandemic. And this is a very interesting story. Since when do states, over 2/3 of the states in this country, choose to ignore the guidelines set down by the CDC? So let's explore why. The rebuke is primarily over the testing guidance, and at least 33 states continue to recommend testing people who have been exposed to COVID-19 and have no symptoms. Now that's in defiance of the guidance published by the CDC, which said that testing may be unnecessary. Among the states defying the order were Texas, Oklahoma, and Arizona. Those are three of the most conservative-leaning states in the country. According to public health experts, disobedience of this magnitude against the CDC is unprecedented, and it indicates a deepening distrust of the Trump administration and its response to the pandemic. This is almost an all-out rebellion, because when the CDC changes their mind and says you do not necessarily need a test unless you are a vulnerable individual, or your healthcare provider or the state or local public officials recommend you take one. The CDC had previously recommended testing of all people who had close contact with someone who was diagnosed with COVID-19. And that remains the policy in at least 30 states. And some that have not changed their policy said they were studying the CDC guidance. So this is up in the air. So Admiral Giroir, the Assistant Secretary for Health at HHS, said that the guidance had been updated to reflect current evidence and the best public health practices. How could it be the best practices? You should test as much as you possibly can. He said this thing places emphasis on testing individuals with symptoms, those with significant exposure, and vulnerable populations, which includes asymptomatic individuals that local public health officials choose to prioritize for testing. Well, when you go around choosing people, you're going to fuck up, because people won't tell you everything they should. So some people are private. They don't want you to know they're sick. So you got to test everybody. You can't pick people out, cherry pick who you want to test. That's bullshit. So because of this turnaround, state leaders and public health experts are accusing the administration of using politics rather than science to guide its response to the pandemic. Well, we know they use politics. This administration uses politics for everything. There's no question that this 180-degree reversal of CDC policy on the COVID-19 guidelines is reckless, and it definitely will damage the long-term vision of the CDC. Their reputation is now in the toilet. Of course, Giroir denies that there's political pressure from the administration. He said testing asymptomatic patients too early could produce false negatives and contribute to the virus's spread. Well, I don't know how they can contribute to the virus's spread any more than the virus is spreading now. The virus has gone crazy. We have over 180,000 deaths in this country. And it doesn't look like we're getting anywhere with this virus. So you have to do everything possible. You can't just stop everything, because you're going to kill more people. Now, one of the things you have to understand about testing is that testing too early doesn't do you any good either. And testing too late is too late, because it takes like 14 days for this disease to incubate as far as the information goes. So if you test somebody in the very early stages, you may not get a positive test. So it's a very tricky business, and therefore you have to stay with it and learn as much as you possibly can about how this virus really reacts. And it's been here for 6 months, and we still haven't figured it all out. Here's the bottom line. Public health officials in the United States believe that the United States needs to test more frequently, that it's crucial to find asymptomatic COVID-19 carriers to slow the spread, and that the CDC's comments could risk discouraging necessary testing. So basically, the public health officials are saying we need to continue testing as much as we possibly can. So if you take a look at the current situation, cases have fallen for 5 weeks in a row, but infections are surging again in the U.S., in the Midwest especially, with 4 states reporting record one-day increases on Thursday, and the death toll climbed over 180,000. So we're not winning this thing. It's going to be a long, slow battle. And I tell you quite honestly, I'm tired of being trapped in this house and doing nothing but ranting to you guys. So that's all I have for today. And I'll see you in the morning. Bye.